Hello, ComicsGate, and cheers. It is Friday. This is the Midday Repartee. I am Rotten Glory. I am joined today by Scotland's best shit superhero and CG's best shit artist, Captain Fuckhead.
How are you, Fuck 10 Glory?
Fuck 10 Glory. Ooh.
An elevated member of the Glory clan.
If I ever sneak on to one of your shows, I'm gonna have to use that. For sure.
You're very welcome, sir.
Hail to the chat. Thank you guys for being here. If you can, share it out. I do believe we can have a really engaging, interesting conversation here. And digital comics, I'm really starting to have a shift in how I view that whole thing. But we'll get into that. Let me get this link posted in the chat. If anybody wants to come in here and talk about this, we would love to hear from you. And later in the show, we will be talking with the creator of Outlaw Nights. This thing is 98% funded. It's got, I think, about 5 days left. We got to get this over the finish line.
Yep.
Absolutely great looking project. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm kind of hoping he'll pop in here and talk about this topic with us as well. So we were touching on the topic a little bit before the show started, and I would love you to share what you were telling me, like, this whole thing about, sell them the experience first and then the convenience. I think it's really relevant if you could outline that.
Yeah, it sounded like I knew what I was talking about then, didn't I, when they use a phrase like that?
It really did. I think that's why I was taken aback.
Well, look, I used to work in sales, so it's one of those things you have to learn quickly.
Yo.
Dude, it's awesome when you're able to be here. You're at home today?
Yeah, man. I'm able to do it.
Nice.
And this is actually one I wanted to get in on. I felt tortured on these past ones, man. I was like itching to get in. You're talking about the fountain, and you're like, oh, what was that? And I'm like, oh, yes, the graphic novel was for the movie. Like, I was so ready to talk about some of the stuff. I'm glad I could make this one.
Yeah, dude, it's always great to have you. And I think I meant to share it the other day, but I wanted to show people this really cool piece of art you made for me. I'm starting.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of popping it in everywhere. Using it as the avatar. I really appreciate it. I think it's great.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you have no idea how long it fucking took me to find him in my DMs earlier because he's changed.
I know. I didn't comment on that, but yeah, you're right. When somebody changes, dramatically changes their avatar on Twitter, it's like, where the fuck are you? Because you get used to looking for the image, not the name.
Even when I was looking for the show on YouTube, I was like, no, he's got a red avatar now, and they've not changed it on YouTube yet.
Yeah, I used the black lettering in my Twitter handle to kind of set me apart, visually at least.
Yes. Yeah, it can be tricky. I know, Sim had been using, the black Sim thing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It took me, oh shit, when he changed it, I'm like, I can never find that guy now.
No, I can't find him anywhere now.
So, go ahead, Captain Fuckhead.
So sales is one of those things where you want people to buy into. People buy from people, basically. That's the crux of any sales job. Is you've got to give somebody an experience, whether it's with you or whether it's with a product. So when it comes to getting somebody into something new or selling them something new that they may not have encountered, or they may have dismissed in the past, it's exceptionally important that you give them an experience with a new product. You can't just slap something in the front in the front of their faces and hope that it takes. You need to guide them through it. You need to show them why you are trying to sell it to them. And certainly, if you're thinking about getting people into comics, they need to have the experience of actually reading a comic. Whether it's a brand new comic or an old one, they both smell differently, they feel differently. A trade paperback is very different from newsprint. It's the same as whiskey. So I know lots and lots of people out there that say they would never ever drink whiskey. They have disdain for the stuff because it tastes vile. I guarantee you, I could find anybody a whiskey they would enjoy. And I think it's the same with comics. It's that initial experience. The same way in comics, one of the things I've learned is you buy the book for the art, you stay for the story. That's the same when if you're selling something to somebody. So the phrase I used before the show, which I was still slightly perplexed at, it actually came out of my brain and made sense, was you sell them experience and then sell them the experience and then sell them the convenience. Once they've read that first book and you've got them, then you can say, well, you know, when you're on the bus and you've got your tablet with you, you can carry 100 books and you can just read them. You can have them on your tablet because you can get them digitally too.
I really like this idea of you create the fan with the physical product, but then you sell them the convenience of, look, you can have a library wherever you go of these things that you now are into. I think that's really cool. And I think it, you know, that could be a title of a bestseller right there. Sell them experience, right? So, you know, get them in on the experience and then sell them on convenience. I think it's absolutely a great way to look at it. And I guess the question about digital comics is, can a digital comic create a comic book fan? Is it possible? And I would say, Captain Fuckhead, you kind of think maybe not.
No, I don't think not. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's certainly much harder. Because people like to have stuff. They like to have things. If you think about it's the same way if you think about what's happened with all the films, all the Marvel films. Like, that was a perfect opportunity for Marvel as a whatever they are now, to then at the end of those films going, did you know we've also been making Iron Man books since the 1950s? But no, there's none of that kind of stuff going on. Like, they're not trying to push the books at all. But no, I don't think it's impossible. I think it's doable, especially if you have things like the films going on. Although God knows what's going to happen to Squirrel Girl comics after that fucking film comes out. But it's not impossible. But you're making your life harder by trying to sell them on digital.
Yeah.
I mean, it might even be a case if you said to some, say, Comixology, or if Marvel decide they want to do their own internet supply chain. Why not sell somebody a digital with a free physical copy rather than sell them the physical with the free digital? That way, then they get the digital immediately, but then they get a book in the post, and that's what might make them go, actually, this is interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the way to bridge it, is to offer the physical and digital as both together. I'm kind of like, I think I'm probably with Rod. Like, I'm kind of coming over to digital. I think, as someone who has made pretty much all digital art for the past 10 months or so, there is something about actually having material in your hand. Like, it doesn't feel real just having digital images and stuff. I think it's a great way to catalog. I remember it was like in the early 2000s, Marvel had sold like a license or something to an outside company, and they made like 40 years of Amazing Spider-Man, 40 years of X-Men, 40 years of Avenger books, 500 comics like packed onto like a DVD-ROM where you could like read them at will, and like they had scanned like old copies and stuff. So like there were some that looked like trash, but you also got like the ads, the vintage ads and everything in that. And digital offers a way to kind of catalog these books in a way that physical will eventually like run out, especially on some of these very like niche things. So I'm kind of happy there's like a catalog for that. There's a history archive that won't go bad. And also I just got Graveyard Shift volume 1 and 2. And as I was reading through the trade paperback, there were a couple of pages, like double spreads, where shit was lost in that middle crease. And that's like one of those things, like in digital, you don't have to worry about. And I've seen something, I forget who it was. It's one of the guys Zach regularly mocks, but he made some sort of PDF file that I thought was really cool, in that it had the pencils, the inks, and the finished colored like piece, like you could cycle through. And I thought that's a cool extra thing that you can add to it.
See, now that is interesting. That, you know, being able to add layers like that to the digital component, where it's like you can't get this in the physical. Well, I suppose
you could. It would just be like 3 times the size,
and it would be expensive as hell.
Yeah, usually it's like your absolute edition, or now they have these artist editions and stuff where they do that sort of thing, but you have a much smaller like storyline. It's kind of meant to show off like the artwork that went into it, but it also costs a lot more, and that's usually with an established thing. Like you've already made your success, you've already made your name. But as a digital file, it'd be pretty easy, especially if you're a completely digital artist, to do something like that. So I think there's a realm of possibilities they haven't even really explored, because there's multimedia facets you could use. I remember looking at some horror comic too, where it automatically like scrolled through pages that animated, and it was like the thing jumped out at you, and it also like had like a sound effect with it. So there's ways that can manipulate and like bring you in that you couldn't do through physical. But I ultimately, straight up comic book, I prefer physical print edition.
Yes.
Because there's always just limits to digital. You're limited to the screen you're looking at, and there's just like there is a tactile thing about a comic book that I think helps push it. Yeah,
it's an interesting. You spoke about it as being a PDF, which I'm assuming just meant that there was this whole version, page 1 to the end, and then the next was. The color version.
I think you could switch through
or you could turn it off.
I don't know what I think there was like.
See, now that would be cool if you could have a page where it's like pencils, and then you could turn on the layer, and then it's inks, and then you turn it on and it's color, and then what about and then you turn it on, and then all the letters come on, and then even you could have a layer that was like behind the scenes commentary almost like. There's so much you could do with this shit. Right. You could really add layers to the experience.
Yeah, you could be a little more liberal with like your word balloons if that was the case too. Like you wouldn't have to like constantly work it in. But that is, I think, also part of the process of comics is marrying up your image with the dialogue or the captions, and like finding a way to make it all work. So it's sort of like you could gain something, but you could also lose something too. But yeah, I do think that bundling in, like having that be a part of it, would be really cool. And I know there's like this whole thing of like digital, like once it's out there in digital, it's easy for somebody to just like mass market, pirate it. But it's like that could still happen anyway. Just slice up a book, scan it in. You could get the same thing. It doesn't take that much of an effort to do that. But I would look at it. I mean, especially for Go on.
You can't be. I don't think we should be afraid of pirating. People.
Right.
If people are going to pirate it, there's a cross section of people that are going to do it no matter what.
And
it's been made very simple. The tools, the technology is there to easily pirate any comic, physical or not.
Right.
You can't be. If that's your fear, I mean, people are they're going to invest in things they love, because people do understand if they don't actually pay for it, it will go away.
And I don't know how you guys would feel about it, but like I would look at it as like the more people that see my stuff, the better the chances are that I sell more stuff. Like it's a way of getting out there. Even if like I know there's stuff like I looked at, and I kind of like do it like, do I really like this? Do I really want to buy? Because I don't have any comic book shops like near me. Like it's not an option to get the floppies. I could order the trades though, and like sometimes if it's good enough, they're getting trades off of me, because like I said, I'd rather have the physical than digital to look over and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Chuck Wendy could hate you.
I mean, and there's such a hit, like you were talking about. There's such a history. There's so many books and stories to read. It like just the task of storing all of it physically. That's not
that's
realistic
a
for a lot of people. It's not realistic. So I think you pick and choose, like the ability to say, look, these are my top books. I want them physically. I want to be able to hold them. I want that physicality. But for the not being able to store like hundreds or thousands of books, it's a solid option for sure.
Yeah, and just to like take it with you, or like have that reader copy or whatever, so you're not like handling your one of a kind edition out of print version of it. You can leave that kind of bagged and boarded, and you have plenty of time to manipulate it, on your iPad or whatever.
I think that's a major advantage for comics, well, for anything digitally, because I always go back to the same what am I looking for? There's a word I'm lost.
Sean Gordon Murphy.
No, don't you start that. The same experience, and it always comes back to the same thing. You wouldn't want to take a comic book to a beach.
Correct.
Yeah, you might want to read one though.
That's another valid point. There are some environments that you'd be too worried about it getting damaged, because fans of comic books tend to be very, very protective of their physical books, with good reason. So, yeah, you're right. You might want to have your favorite medium with you, and it's a place that isn't really kind to that particular medium. So, there's a lot of benefits here. There's a lot of benefits for sure. The idea that I'm kind of realizing is, and the analogy I'd like to use is, and I talked about this with Captain Fuckhead a little, but newspapers, the physical newspaper, like there's generations of people where it was part of their daily routine to crack open that daily newspaper. And it was part of their day. It meant something. It was something that they were like, these are never going anywhere. We're not going to let go of this, having the news in our hands and going through the paper. It was an experience that was part of their lives. But it's like, I never got hooked on reading a newspaper. It's never been part of my thing. I get all of my information and news from the internet. So when I start thinking that way, and I'm like, wait, maybe this attachment to the physical comic book is more emotional than I realize. And the people that have grown up with screens as part of their lives from day one, maybe it's, that's not necessarily there. And digital comics might be an experience that for them is completely adequate, and they don't feel, they don't have the attachment to the physicality of the book. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying I'm starting to realize, like, maybe this is a very biased state of mind that I have.
Oh yeah, well, I wasn't going to disagree with what you're saying. You're absolutely correct. It's just that if it's just the vernacular there you used. If anybody who is reading or watching something is happy for an adequate experience, then I suggest you put it down and go to look for something else. It's just the way you worded it there.
Well, I would, anytime like there was newspapers around, I'm gonna be honest, like I skipped everything, but I would always go for like the comic section, man. Like that was like the one thing I would actually look at.
Yeah.
Was that, especially like the Sunday edition, where you get like some of the full page, full color versions of things, like Calvin and Hobbes, man. Like always checking out on that as a kid. It was pretty much the one thing, other than like maybe like coupon clipping shit, like the only thing like I would bother to even scan for in the pile of it, because the other thing that I think ruins newspapers and kind of ruins physical comic books is the ad space, like the amount of ads that you have and how it breaks up the rhythm. And newspapers are notoriously shit at like just having a story to a single fucking page. Like it's like you start here, go to like that whole thing is just like arduous and stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I work in print publication and advertising, and it's, typically 40, 60, 40%, or even 50-50 in terms of editorial and ad space. And it's like, I couldn't believe it when your boy Zach was flipping through a comic recently, and it was like there was literally
50-50.
equal ads in the fucking thing than comic, and the pages of the comic were offered nothing as it was. You know how shit these things have become lately, and I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow. If that had been my experience the first time I picked up a comic, I think it would have been game over. I don't know that I would have continued.
Yeah, there was a part of like I think the older school comics, like I actually enjoy those ads, like, and it's kind of like your bit on Atomic Deuce, crimes of advertising past. There is like sort of a charm to looking at like the way things were sold, and even looking at the development and evolution of like graphic design and like product placement and all this other stuff. Like you can see like the time is kind of defined. in some of that stuff. So it's really cool, like going back looking at the old like Atlas ads,
Right.
or even just seeing the old comic book listings and like subscription services you could sign up for. Like it sort of has a time capsule element to it, but like it wasn't like every other page,
Right.
and it wasn't just like you also paid $5 for this, and it's like half ads. Like really, what the fuck?
That is just,
The
yeah,
thing I
it's
like,
unbearable. This should not be happening. There should be a few ads in the, maybe in the back of the thing. There should not be an ad. To me, it's a crime to put an ad in the middle of the flow of a comic book, because
Hmm.
as someone who writes comics and loves comics, there so much thought is put into like what the person's gonna feel when they turn that page and see what's happening on the next one, and to put an ad in that to disengage
Hmm.
that experience for the reader is like, you can't do that. That's bullshit.
I think
Absolute
just
bullshit.
2 points on ads. I think the old-fashioned ads, I think you're absolutely right. What I like the way that they did them is they were all small ads, like you would see in again, lost the word, but you know what I mean. They were all small little ads, and when you had adverts, there was dedicated pages to a number of adverts, and they didn't. And there was only a few of those pages in the old floppies. There's not many of them at all, but they pack as many ads as they can onto that page.
Hmm.
And I also like some of the old adverts, especially in the old American comics, where they used to essentially create slave wages or offer slave wages for kids. I can't remember them a couple of them offhand, but there was some I was reading not long ago, and it was some American company. It was in a Marvel book, and they were basically getting kids to do distribution for them, and then paying the kids for everything that they sent out. It was a weird thing, almost like a paperboy kind of service that the kids they were asking the kids to do. Which I just think was brilliant, and those old-fashioned adverts that said, "You want to get strong quick? Pay me 99 cents, and I'll tell you the secret." Like those adverts are great, and we all knew at the time they were all bullshit, but we still got suckered into them anyway. But the one thing I will say for DC, because I've been you fucking prick, you bring him up, and now you're going to make me say his name, Sean Gordon Murphy. I read his Curse of the White Knight series. Not one advert.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it was great. I had a great time reading those. I really enjoyed those books, and they introduced me to him as a writer, not him to me. That would be the wrong way around. I don't think he wants to meet me.
He does. If you give him $200, if you give him $200, he will have a Skype call with you.
I would rather spend my $200 on something else.
Yeah, no shit.
I still think that'd be awesome, just to hold him hostage, like make it the most uncomfortable like interview ever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it was somebody who had a channel and could live stream the whole thing, if he would allow it to be.
Yeah, probably not.
There won't. There'll be a non-disclosure agreement before you even have to do any of that. That you're not.
It would be legendary if you called them up on Skype. And I'm assuming there's some kind of time frame or limit, or is it an hour? I don't know if did it specify. I don't recall. But if you just I didn't say it, actually say anything. We're connected. We're connected on Skype. You can talk away, but I'm just sitting here.
I would have loved Ethan to have backed at that tier and done it and broadcast it, because I can just imagine Ethan just going, "Say hello to ComicsGate, say hello to ComicsGate, say hello to ComicsGate."
Oh God, dude, these fucking psycho weirdos they've already put him in the ComicsGate camp. They've already done it to him. He might as well just jump ship, embrace it, and make a lot of money, because he's already been put in that corner.
Yep,
it's done. So. It's just horrible, and this whole pledge that the pros are starting to do, the male, well, we'll call them males. I'm not so sure, but this pledge, man.
MAIL.
Dude, just the sheer amount of throughout everywhere right now, the amount of people wanting you to take a knee, bend over backwards, capitulate to something, some stupid ass thing, man. It's just ridiculous.
It's
I don't
just
get this bend the knee thing. I don't understand it.
because
like
it's an admission of
protest
guilt the
and shit.
moment you do
Yeah.
it.
But it's just, it's traditionally it's a sign of fealty.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I don't understand how that then is appropriate to support campaigns like this. It doesn't makes no sense in my brain at all.
It isn't, and it's really hilarious that they completely messed it up too. Did you guys pick up on that? The way they worded it, like, say no at the top, but then all the points, it like contradicts itself. So if you actually read it correctly, they're actually saying the exact opposite thing, and I'm like, oh god, you guys are fucking idiots.
No surprise, is it?
It's
No
not.
surprise.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all.
I mean, it even when because what was it? It was Colin Kaepernick who did it years ago, 4 years ago or something, was it? In the NFL. I'm waiting for him now to sue the NFL because they've said they shouldn't have told him not to. They should have allowed him to do it. Now they're allowing any player that wants to do it. I really hope he goes after them. But even when he did it during the national anthem. Now, I don't see anything wrong with bending your knee during a national anthem. I don't see that as a protest. That's again, bending the knee. That's fealty. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It's
just that it was, it's counter to the tradition of standing with your hand on your heart. I mean,
but doing it is exactly the same thing as standing there with your hand on your
it
heart.
is.
Like,
You're right.
My head around it. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's like everything. It's all fucking stupid, dude. It's all
Madness.
stupid.
Absolute madness.
Yeah, and that guy got like how many millions of dollars? You see, and this is what I'm always suspicious of that shit. Like Kaepernick, that guy got like a multi-million-dollar Nike ad campaign. Like he made millions of dollars doing what he did. And don't tell me, don't fucking tell me that wasn't up front right before it started. This was all planned. And it's all planned to make Trump look like most of this shit is to make Trump look like an asshole.
It would not.
But don't tell me that wasn't like, he's like, well, okay, if I do this and I take all this shit, it's going to be a shitstorm. It better be worth my while. Mm-hmm. And Nike ponied up the cash and made it worth his while.
They've dumped him since, though, I think, haven't they?
Maybe, probably, but he got millions of dollars. Like, what person has the opportunity to get millions of dollars for fucking just taking a knee on a field? Like,
being on the bench.
Yeah, it's like
that's essentially what it was about. He was benched. He was no longer first string.
The best job you can get in sports. A lot of people in America, I think, would believe that would be a kicker in the NFL or a substitute kicker, or a second kicker in the NFL. I'll tell you what the best job in any sport is to be a third goalkeeper in professional football. There are professionals out there who are picking up wages. They train every single fucking day. Never ever played a fucking game. There's a manager now somewhere. I can't remember where he's managing, but he was a third choice goalkeeper in Spain. He won titles. He won trophies. He has medals. Never once played a game, not professionally anyway.
Wow. Yeah, that's insane, dude. I love that Ted Lehman. The first time I heard this joke, I believe, was from a comedian named Owen Benjamin, who was blacklisted by mainstream for speaking out against giving kids hormones for the whole transgender thing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he was like, what is that? What does this symbol mean? What is it meant to us? It's the pound sign, right? Mm-hmm. So it's pound me too. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like this is, and it's kind of curious that with all of these things, this current pledge, the hashtag Me Too thing, they all have this kind of like, if you look at them a different way, they're actually really absurd, and they're presenting as absurd. It's a big comedy show. It's Clown World. Mm-hmm. That's what this shit is. It's all fucking funny, man. And Ghost of Henry says, I only bend my knee when I hit someone's crotch. I don't know if that's I think there might be other times when I might have to bend a knee, but that's certainly a good time to do it, for sure.
Every time I drop a pencil.
It wasn't about him kneeling. the attention he was getting for it. Exactly.
Yep.
And well, it was
Yeah.
it's political, and he was paid to do it. Let's just face the facts. And he, he was paid in a roundabout way by Nike. It seemed like a natural, organic thing. But come on, don't be. We can't be that naive anymore about shit. Smiling Bandito is in the house.
Ew. Yeah.
He's got I think
He's got a
it's
show
going to be
later
a
on.
really powerful show coming
Yeah.
later today. I want to be there for that.
5 p.m.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So,
What's going on?
or 2.5 hours from now, actually.
yeah.
What's he
5 p.m.
doing?
Eastern.
So I was checking out. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get a sense
What is it?
of how much money digital comics were pulling in as a comparison, and what I could find is estimated digital comic book sales in North America garnered 100 million, and this was in 2018. By comparison, comic book stores brought in 510 million in 2018. So, and then of course booksellers as well, not just comic book stores, brought in another 465 million. So obviously, the digital market still quite small in comparison, but 100 million is nothing. It's growing. It's been on a growth pattern, and obviously people are willing to shell out some money for digital comics, and it also doesn't take into account comics that are sold like through a subscription, which some of Marvel
Yeah.
Unlimited and Comixology. So there's probably a lot more money at play here than this article suggests. So
Yeah, I would wonder what that breakdown is, because I think it's pretty hard to try to sell digital at the same price you're selling like the printed copy and expect it to do the same. Subscription seems more like a thing, or a bundle kind of deal. You get 5 for the
yes,
price of 1 or something like that.
yeah, or they're offering like access to a pretty substantial back catalog.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn. And and I've heard your boy Zach say many times, he has access to more comics than he could possibly read
hmm
in his lifetime.
Well, it's like everything, you fight just to watch a TV show somebody recommends, because everyone's got their own thing, and there's all these different, services providing their own like TV shows, or they have the movies for that time frame, whatever it happens to be. It's a very crowded, thing to be getting in on. And comics aren't exactly the same. Like, for the same price, you're probably paying for the subscription to Marvel Comics. Like, you could get Netflix, and like it's almost endless entertainment. You can never get through it all.
Well, you can get through what's actually worth watching real quick.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking
That's true.
maybe 5% of it, maybe, and that might be generous, is actually worth a fucking damn.
But
guys might-
you're talking about, like, I think the hardest thing for me would be wrapping my head around, like, what if, as a kid, the only thing I had that I could like have in front of me was a Game Boy, and I'm talking like the old school Game Boy, like as far as like on the go. Now, like, kids growing up, you have essentially you could watch almost any show you wanted to, whenever, any movie, any cartoon. There's tons of games that are like taking away their attention or whatever. Like, there's all these different avenues you could go down.
Yeah.
And that was something like Game Boy on batteries, all right? So limited life. And going to a store, dude, comic section or newsstand section was like somewhere like I would go to, and like my parents would let me, because I got out of their hair, and I'd just be flipping through the books and stuff. That was like the thing to do out in public, whereas now, like, you can just be glued to a screen constantly. That's, I think, the one element that's the hardest to really adjust for. How do you get in front of everything else?
Yeah. There's some stuff I really want to address in the chat, and Ryan Miller brings up a really valid point here. The overhead on digital. When you're looking at these numbers, the difference between the physical sales and the digital sales, you really have to take it, how much did it cost to distribute and produce, by comparison, those digital comics to the physical. I mean, that $100 million in digital comic sales is pretty clean. That's a lot of profit there, right? Because there isn't really any cost in distribution. There might be some, people have to produce it and put it into whatever the format is that they're offering it, but
Yeah,
it's
you'll
like
still have your
minimal,
hosting fees.
minimal
Yeah.
cost, minimal
Yeah.
cost. So that's
but
a really valid point.
That relies, I think, more on a continuing service, or continuing product. Like if you're
Yeah.
just like if you're ComicsGate kind of putting product out there, that's probably not going to work. Having like a hosting site trying to get people on, but you could sell it like PDF. I think the numbers on that would be feasible. Yeah.
And this is Ghost of Henry says it's fine for those that just want to read the comics, but collectors absolutely hate digital. Of course. And I think for me, what I'm starting to realize, and Captain Fuckheads, when we started, I think you kind of tapped into this, but I think digital comics, people, when they really hit on something they love, I think it will encourage them. They will want to get that physical. They'll want to be able to hold it. They'll want to be able to have it in a collection. I think it could really serve to get people, you'll read, let's say you read 10 comics, but only one of them really hit the mark for you, but you might go out and seek out that physical product, and it could get you into collecting big time.
Do any of you know if there is if Marvel and DC have their own physical libraries of old,
like they have like it archived or something?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I heard the Marvel offices are a complete shit show, so I have no idea. I wouldn't count on it being good. And I know there was at least a time, like Neil Adams was like revolutionary for creators and like them being able to keep their own stuff and everything. Like they would pulp or totally trash like original art like artists had before that. But I don't know if there's like master plates or like an archived edition of like at least their first print edition.
That'd be awesome if like these warehouse of this archive. That'd be beautiful.
That's exactly where I'm going. So if you want to sell digital comics, and you clearly the comic book industry is dying. It's not doing well. We all know that, but there's no real dispute in that as a fact. If you had that access to that kind of size of a physical library, why can't you sell digital bundles? So you could, just as an example, like whether it's fucking a Batman or a Spider-Man, whoever it is you fancy that day, why can't you sell, particularly digitally, complete runs?
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Is that not? Are they not doing that?
Not that I know of. I've never seen that as an option.
Because I'm not. Because I just have been.
I'm talking about the older books, though. I'm not talking about.
Yeah,
I'm talking about old books.
I get that. Because I've been so close-minded, I really have been just kind of closed off to digital, because I just want the comic in my hand.
Yeah,
I haven't really looked into it, so I don't know. I don't know what's on.
I wouldn't know what they offer, but I know they've been doing for a while now reprints of the old like issues. Like just black and white. You could get like, God knows, like omnibus size stuff for like real cheap. So they are still trying to make money off of that stuff. It should be up for digital, though. Yeah, definitely is part of the whole selling. And welcome to the show, Dave.
Hey, Dave, how you doing?
All right, guys.
Did you have do you have some initial thoughts to drop on us about this?
Well, I was trying to wait to see if anyone else would jump in with more sort of digital pro, but no, I'm physical. As you can tell with the DVD, I'm physical media in general.
Yes.
Like all these, like Sim mentioned in the chat there, they come with, like, you got your own little digital codes there. And these are in the recent Marvel comics. I've never used a single one. I've got like 2,300 odd comics and never.
Interesting. So it's never even
No,
like if
just...
you're out and about or traveling or something, you've never like, it's never been.
I don't take my comics outside. How dare you?
No, pristine, bag and board, mate, and then they're there.
Right.
But no, I think for me it's similar to books. In general, I tried with a Kindle to read it on there, and I just couldn't. I don't know what it was. It's like, for me, it feels like it's not taking enough effort to actually get in and read the thing, so I don't put as much emphasis on the content. I don't enjoy it as much because I'm not making the effort to read it. I'm like, oh, it could just be another internet article, for example.
Wow. That's an interesting point. So
that is.
Mrs. F is an avid reader. She loves to fucking read, not comics, but proper books. She won't read in a Kindle either. The only thing she'll read on a Kindle is the sample of the first chapter to figure out if she wants to go and buy the fucking book.
Yes.
That's why I was saying earlier on, if DC or Marvel had these back catalogues that they could digitize, they could give people the first, say, because I know these books you just go 60 book runs. Give them the first 5 books, then sell them the run.
Yeah.
But the other issue that I do have with it, and thanks for bringing that up, Dave. And I'm sorry I didn't notice you were on this, but I'm not looking at the Streamlabs. I'm busy flatting at the moment at the same time as conversing.
I'm always lurking in the background, mate. Always lurking. Don't worry about it.
But there's if you look at Dave, so Dave will know certainly about this. So in Sainsbury's and Tesco, all the supermarkets that we have over here, you can buy physical copies of books for 99p. So at the moment, there's already a bunch of authors getting paid fuck all for their work, and I'm talking novel, I'm talking 800, I'm talking 80,000 to 120,000 word count, like a fucking book that's taken at least a year to put together. Hello, Ben. I'm looking now. So
Ben is with us.
When you then go digital, because there's a lot less of a cost. To me, when you do that, there's also less of a value in the product.
Yeah.
And I think long term, if comics went digital, I think long term you would end up seeing a lot of companies making huge amounts of profits, but still not paying their artists properly.
Right.
And you'll end up in a position. Again, this is another thing that ComicsGate is the reason for ComicsGate, and we've discussed this before, Rob. I think ComicsGate's leading the way for publishing in general. I think over the next 5-10 years, all these big name publishers, I think you'll see a lot of them disappear. I think there'll be several small publishers still in existence, but these bigger publishers that don't pay their authors, that screw them over every opportunity they get, that when they say, okay, I'll give you £100,000 for your book, but you know what? I'm going to pay you it in 3 parts. I'll give you 30 grand once you've finished it. I'll give you 30 grand once it's printed, and I'll give you another fucking 40 grand once we've made our money back. Like, they don't treat creators well in the publishing industry, and that's the same for comics as it is for novels. It's the same for any other type of creative industry. So I think long term, you're going to see creators like Ben here, like you, Rot. You're in the move to do that now, going and publishing their own stuff. And I think they're going to be doing that because they realise there's more fucking money in it for them. And that even if it's the same amount of money or even slightly less, the benefits of it, the freedom of it, there are so many advantages to just heading out on your own and doing it. And ComicsGate is really showing how successful that model can be. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful thing. How you doing, Ben?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, it's great to have you. We'll probably keep going on this topic for another 15 minutes or so. But I'm really looking forward to talking to you about Outlaw Nights. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So I think Samir up here mentioned something about possibly HBO doing digital with DC for HBO Max. I'm not familiar with that. That's kind of intriguing. And then Sim is also talking about their streaming service making their digital classic library available to members. So it's like, this becomes, when you're talking about the vast library of decades worth of material, having access to it really does become pretty appealing. I think
there needs to be more of a draw to digital than what they're offering. Like, if it's a digital copy of the same exact book, like, it's not gonna get people into it. I know I have like stacks of Blu-rays. I never got the digital copy of where I could actually download it, like iTunes, or the Ultraviolet, which is even more shit because you have to stream it. But like I just didn't go for it. It's the same way like Dave was talking about all these codes he's left in the book. I already got the copy. Why would I get digital on top of that? But I think, especially with like out of print stuff, old stuff, it would be cool if like you could like zoom in, like it was like really high def, really like the top quality scans, or if you had the option for, especially for like old pinups or something like that, being able to like have the option of printing those out, like legit do print off copies of stuff that like you'll never find anywhere else. And there's always a value to the original piece of anything. But that would be a cool way of like letting digital sort of help sell itself a little bit more, is like giving people that access. Because what's the likelihood somebody's going to buy an old issue just to have like a copy that they could see the pirated version of, or they could buy 12 other copies like in an omnibus and have in their hand, you know? Whereas if you give them the option to have like the stuff that went with it and print it out, that would be like a cool thing to have. I know I would like be up to having something like that too.
Yeah. I do want to tap, you know, I brought this up already, but I want to just bring it up again because I think it's so relevant. Because like Lucius, while you were speaking, you're like, digital isn't going to get anyone into comics. And I'm like, my instinct, my emotional gut reaction to that is, of course not. It's not cool. It doesn't feel right. It's not cool. But again, I have to wonder if that's because we didn't, when I was born, and for quite a while, screens weren't everything. Like it wasn't, the whole existence wasn't screens. It was about physical media. But if you're born into a world where you're basically as an infant, you've got a screen in your hand, do they really have the same attachment to the physical media? I'm just wondering.
Maybe not, but I think what dragged me in was a cool fucking image. And like how many books are really like doing that? Like if I saw a Rob Willis cover on a rack, I would pick up that book no matter what. And like I know I heard from like professors of mine and stuff, like they saw Frank Frazetta like pictures on a book. They didn't like, I'm talking like an actual like book. And they would just buy the book, no interest in the story inside or anything, based on just the cover art. Like they're paying $10 to look at a Frank Frazetta picture in front of them. And I don't know how much like there's like that quality of seduction anymore, like in the cover art or the like the marketing for any of this stuff.
Right.
I used to have
that isn't a digital problem, right? I mean, that's just they're just not producing seductive.
I would click on something that looked fucking awesome, you know. And I don't know how much they're doing that for digital. I have no idea. Like I said, I haven't had like a strong interest in it, but that's the hook, man, is like just having that single shot image that like you want to see more of it. I think that's the hook for anybody, like with comic books.
What were you wanting to say, Dave?
No, just in regards. No, it's completely gone out of my head now.
Oh, sorry.
What was it?
My bad.
What was your last point, Lucius? No, that's all right,
mate. So like for me, I mean, I'm artist driven, so this is like a great cover is always going to push me to buy something.
Yeah, no. So what I was going to say is that and I think's quite a big aspect, because you think a lot, especially these mainstream companies, they make a lot of their money off these variant covers. If everyone's going towards digital, or the younger generation are, what happens to the variant cover? Are they going to have different versions available for digital, just with different covers, or are they going to include it all in one pack, or just get rid of them?
Yeah, that's
I would think you'd do it all in one pack. Like if you're still printing, you know, you'd have the print copy, but I would do all in one pack as digital. I don't know. But I could see them trying to be greedy and like do like 50-cent upgrade bullshit or something. You know, like you can buy the cover for an extra 50 cents. You know, like you don't have to buy the whole book over again.
The way you do that is you sell the digital you sell the normal cover as digital. You sell the variants as actual physical copies.
Yeah, but it's the only way you can get it. Yeah.
The problem with that, and what you were saying a minute ago, Lucius and Dave, you were touching on it as well, is that the art as a whole in our society these days is being devalued systematically because it doesn't contribute to the system very much. Certainly not the way in which people want it to contribute. Artists have always been looked down upon, and I think that's going to continue unless we take control over that. And Lucius, you also touched on films there, and one of the really fucking dangerous things about digital, and Rob, we spoke about this before, is that digital can be edited. The big issue, especially you talk about ultraviolet. Did you know ultraviolet doesn't exist anymore?
No, I didn't even know that.
Gone.
But that's something I worried about. Yeah.
Wow.
This is the problem.
It is.
I've said this countless times, and I know Dave said it as well. If there's physical copies to the things that you love, buy them now. They're not going to last for much longer. The digital copies, as soon as physical goes, the digital copies of the stuff that we love, that people don't like anymore, will just be eradicated. It will be deleted from the system, gone forever.
Or altered beyond recognition. I'm like, my lady and I are starting to get real serious about like, okay, we need to make a list of the films that we adore and other things, because once this all goes digital, you never know. You never know. It could be just changed or deleted, or it's already happening.
We do know. Yeah. It's already. They're already doing it. Like they're not.
All it takes is one person to be offended by something in it. Hence, Little Britain getting just absolutely shelved completely.
Yeah.
Well,
so Ben, I'm really curious.
Okay,
go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say there's been a number of ways that snuck in. Like, George Lucas tooled the shit out of his Star Wars films.
So dumb.
And sometimes for the better, man. Like, I actually got like the I don't know if you guys remember the DVDs he released where it was the remastered and the original like film version, but it was like uncleaned up. It was all scratched to hell. The audio was off and stuff like that. Like, there's some of the digital remastering that like you will appreciate, but then it's like he's removing complete songs from sections.
Right.
He's altering scenes. Like, it's just like.
Just let a piece of art be what it is. Let it live. And let it exist. Fuck.
I don't know if Disney has that original copy, but they could make like another fortune just remastering the exact original. Yeah, and putting that out. But
I very much doubt if Disney have that.
It's been going on for a long time, and it's ironic though that in a strange way piracy has actually kind of kept the original versions, or like it's the only way sometimes you can find it new for something that's been out of print or retooled. Like, even I know there were like color changes to like Disney movies from like the VHS copy to the DVD copy and stuff like that. Like there's really weird stuff that they do, and you're just like, why on earth would they do that? But yeah, there's the original product like is always going to be tampered with, and once it's digital, it's more likely almost promised.
Like Captain Fuckhead said, if there's something you adore, there's something you love, and you don't want it to lose it, you better buy it now. And we're getting serious about that ourselves. So Ben, I'm really curious what your thoughts are on the digital comic. As I understand it, you don't have a digital. You're not offering digital on your campaign.
Yeah, I'm not. But
don't sound so sad about it. I support you on that.
I
do too. I mean, to be honest, I do too.
Well, I have kind of mixed feelings about digital. It's like there's some aspects of it that I think are kind of like good, but in terms of like, I wouldn't want to just have a digital.
Correct.
Because the biggest thing for me in particular is that like I tend to, when I read digital things, I tend to do it on my phone, and like the way the image is so compressed and everything, you have to kind of search through it. You have to extend that. You have to, they have like a thing where you have to like double click on a panel and all that, and it gets kind of screwy. It seems like a lot of work to just read a comic.
Yep.
Right. And they might they're going to have to innovate. They're going to have to find solutions to those problems. They're going to have to find ways of presenting a comic book one panel at a time, or figuring out how to work within the screen context of the screen. And as the digital market grows, if it gets to a certain size, there's going to be motivation to innovate that, to really make it.
They're going to start working with Zuckerberg. You'll just download it straight into your brain. Before you know it, you'll have read the comic.
Right.
You're like fucking comic book Matrix.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. Are you kind of debating like maybe offering digital? Are you still on? You're still kind of thinking about it, or you're just like nah?
I'm thinking about possibly adding it to volume to the next issue,
Nice.
but I wouldn't really like. I don't think I'd offer it as just like standalone. Like, oh, get a digital copy only. Like, I'd probably throw it in as like a perk.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way to go for sure.
I think Comic Mark nailed it. He said, "I'll send you the digital copies 3 months late."
Send them out late. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mean if somebody actually buys the digital perk, they'll get them 3 months later?
Yeah. So you also, well, yeah, but that's a good thing. I think that's a good way of doing it, because what you're doing is you're saying I prioritize physical copies, and I should. If somebody's buying a copy of it physically, I think they should be prioritized, because they're putting their money where their mouth is, as it were. Even with shipping and stuff like that, I think that's a good thing. I think prioritizing that is not a bad thing at all, because what you're doing is you're prioritizing art and you're prioritizing culture, the things that are important that we cannot afford to lose.
Yeah. I mean,
Mark wouldn't put it like that. I'm using big art words and intellectualizing it slightly. Mark would just say, nah.
Yeah, right. And there's kind of this argument too that maybe, why I understand that the digital doesn't cost as much to produce and you don't have to ship it, and it's like, so just charge way less for it. But there's kind of this argument of, well, what aren't you charging people for the blood, sweat, and tears of the work that went into producing the thing? Mm-hmm. Why should it be cheaper?
Partially, yeah. Now I would just say, in context of ComicsGate books and Indiegogo, I think everyone going for these books is looking for like the collector's edition, essentially. Like, it's going to be signed. It has that personal touch. I would say digital's an option. Like, if you sold every last book you had and somebody is now interested in reading it, but you don't have a way of going back to printer and just getting it to them, unless you plan on doing it, as a reprint for the next campaign you do. But that's a way to like at least get somebody new on the train as well. Yeah. I think like Narwhal debated about doing Earthbound as a digital thing, but he sold out all of his books and it was just like, well, do I do digital or not? Right. That's kind of the way I would look at it. But if I would tell them like, don't do it. Don't do it. ComicsGate book.
Yeah,
I was like kind of like I didn't get one, so I kind of wanted one.
Well, of course, you had a selfish motivation, but I'm like, dude, the desire and want for Earthbound when it comes available the second time is going to be so massive that you're just going to like, just wait for it, dude. Just wait for it. Sim makes a great point here. He only charged $5 less for the digital version. And he says that he sold 36, and some of them also bought the physical. So, I think there's something to be said about don't undercharge for your digital. It's still it's still this thing you produced. It doesn't have less value. That's it's about the work. It's about the art. It's about the story. It's about the hours that went into creating it. Just because it's cheaper to get to someone doesn't mean it's worth less, I don't know.
Just on Earthbound, actually, Earthbound was the first digital book I read.
And I would even go and add to that taking $5 off. Like I said, like the last comment that I left under it is like, you take off $5. Technically, that my reasoning is you take off the printing. They're already saving on the shipping, so take away the money of the printing. And I think that's a reasonable price.
Agreed.
That's totally valid, man. I think you're right on with that. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
And hi.
Hello, Sam.
I was hanging on Discord with some guys, and I was watching the stream. Okay, I need to go in. I need to go in for a second. Because, like I said, like I'm really not a digital guy. I don't like it. But very well right now that with a phone or a little $10 tool, you can digitalize any comic in 5 seconds, a novel in minutes, right? So might as well make money off of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Just make
Yeah,
sure that your PDF is locked and unprintable. Don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid. Right, and I heard that. I mean, they're not really popular right now in CG, but the Brightwisers with Red Rooster on the PDF, on the digital copies, they have your like address, like your personal info is on there. So I guess to protect against piracy.
Oh, that fucked
So you're not going to share it out.
That's dodgy.
You're not going to share it out. So how do you guys feel about that? Is that
That's
just
dodgy.
smart protection of your property, or is
Wait,
that
is
that going too far?
Like, is that how you read it, or is that how it is when you try to print it? Because if that's how you try to read it, that's really like awful way to experience a book.
Technically.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, okay, I'm trying to read Red Rooster. I have the PDF in front of me. Is like my name and address like watermarked over the
No,
thing, so
I don't
have
think
to,
it's
like,
anything
read
like
it?
that.
Probably
I
on
think
the
it's just,
cover or the back cover or something.
yeah,
or-
it's just included somewhere
Okay.
in the total package, and I'm sure it wouldn't be any effort at all, probably to like edit it, or you probably could. I don't know. But Sim, you're saying you can absolutely lock it up so people can't mess with it.
Oh, you can lock it up, but somebody that's very knowledgeable just could probably crack it.
Right.
But the thing is, you
Give it
do your
away.
best, you protect it, because otherwise, dude, man, you can find any goddamn comic on the web.
Vinny
Well,
Art's
it's-
in the house.
Like, I really hate it, but dude, there's people that there are actually, you cannot deny that there's actual people that prefer digital. There's people and you cannot ignore a market. You cannot ignore a clientele. Like, a demand is there.
Right.
I have to say
Right.
again, another great piece of vernacular. Are we sure that these people are actually people?
We can
Sorry,
never
Sim, that was
really
a bad
know
joke.
anymore,
It
can
was
we?
good. It was a good joke if you're in my brain.
Yes. Well, I would love to spend a little bit of time in your brain. I'm not, I think it would be a wild experience for sure.
It's
The
You
world
never
as
be right again after that, Ron.
the world as viewed by Captain Fuckhead would be fascinating.
It's a strange place.
So we gotta talk about Outlaw Nights.
Yes, please.
We really
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
talk about this.
Again,
Dave, do you mind? You mind dropping? We got Smiling Bandito coming in here.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. No
oh.
worries.
I'll
Gotta
jump.
ma-
I just came by to say my piece. I'll jump. I'll let you guys.
All right, Sim.
Good having you, man.
Taking the
You're
chop.
missing a
All
link
right.
here. You're
Talk to you
missing a
guys
link
later.
here. See you later,
Cheers,
Sim. How come we haven't gone from pirating digital comic books to space pirates?
An
Not
obvious
that big of a
link.
leap.
See, there it is. Smiling Bandito, how you doing? You there? Hell.
Yeah, I'm here.
Really looking forward to your show
So-
later today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
Getting into.
So what do you got? What are your thoughts on this digital thing?
Well, I had made the comment that there are ways to kind of make it beneficial for everyone, and I think the problem that people are looking at is either A, this isn't the experience I would want to have, or B, how do I make it so that I'm not losing money by just giving out a digital copy? And I think whenever someone's trying to figure out whether or not they want to put out a digital copy, you have to ask yourself, how does it help my business, right?
Yes.
I don't think you want to put out a digital copy just because that's what people are wanting to buy. That can be a reason, but if you sell digital copies and you sell 300 digital copies, you're not going to get enough to pay your artist, right? Because digital copies typically have to sell for less.
Right.
So in order to be able to sell those digital copies, you have to sell it for less, which means that you're not going to get the profit off of it, based on just selling between 200, 300, even 400 copies, which is a good selling for a first-time comic.
It is.
However, if you were to look at it as in the same way that Frege had said something a while back, which is when you go to make something, you have to be willing to give something away for free in order to promote it, in order to market it. And one of the things that I'm looking at, I'm trying to see if I can make work, is this idea of doing like a Patreon book where people are subscribed and every 3 months they end up getting a book.
Yes, you've talked about that. We went into this on a previous show. I love this idea.
Right. Well, as part of the perks for signing up every single month, you could be giving out a digital preview to your backers.
Right.
And so, you know what, they're getting a digital preview every single month. They're getting a few pages of the story, and at the end of 3 months, they actually get a physical copy sent to them. It costs you nothing extra to give them a digital copy, right? They're paying, I don't know, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever that needs to be. But at the end of the month, they get a physical copy of something that they've been enjoying for 3 months. It allows you to promote your book to them. It gives them something that they can be excited about. And they know at the end of it, they still get a free copy. Or not a free copy, a physical copy.
Yeah.
And that's using your digital that's actually using your artwork to actually extend the value of your product.
Yeah.
Use digital in order to kind of make it so that it's something that incorporates into your overall marketing scheme, right?
Right.
So,
and I do want to say, like, you brought up a point of, you know, you kind of have to give something away for free when you're going to market. And this is part of the reason I think CG can't, really has been so successful, is that that's kind of built into the model, because you get all this entertainment from a Dan Frege or an EVS or any number of these creators right on YouTube. You get hours of entertainment for free. That's what they're giving you for free. So it's kind of built into that. But I understand what you're saying with the digital thing. I think Dan Frege also offered the old printing of Black Flag.
Yeah.
He offered it absolutely free as a digital comic to get people, to get people into the story. And it's like, that was smart.
Yeah, and that's just him offering something that he's already made his money on, right? In order to get people invested into the next thing coming. And, the idea of digital, don't look at it as okay, how do I make money off of it, or is this the experience I want to give them? Look at it as, how do I use it to market my book? How do I use this thing to market what I'm producing? You would, and that's for the paid edition. Anyway, the reality behind the digital is that most of us in ComicsGate don't want digital, right?
True.
Most of us are here because it's a collector's item. We want the physical thing on our wall, on our shelf, that type of thing.
Agreed.
And so, make that, if that's your market, make your digital copy a reflection of that. Make it just the bare bones. Make it something that reflects the price that you're putting it at. And then when you put your physical copy out, make sure that it represents the price behind it. Right?
Yeah.
So like, don't just put out, if you're giving out a digital copy, don't just give out and you're charging, $5, $10, whatever for it. Don't put out the physical copy as just a floppy and charge $25 for it, right? When you do go to put out that physical copy, don't just make it a printed version of the digital. Make it so that the step up in the price is equal to the step up in the cost, and it should reflect that. Stretch that dollar as far as you can and get that quality into that product. And that will be what sets it apart. That's why people will want the physical copy. We want to bring new people in who potentially, maybe they've only seen digital stuff, right? You want to, it's kind of like a bank. Whenever you go into a bank, they say, hey, we got this other new account that if you want to, be a part of it, it'll be this and this on fees and all this kind of thing. And then you ask them, so I would just switch over to that account? And I'm like, no, we want you to have 2 accounts. Right? the bank is always trying to get you to cross purchase. It's like a cross. I can't remember what they use for it, but they want you to have more than one product with what they're doing, right?
Correct.
The problem is the bank doesn't have anything to offer us, right?
Right.
So, like, we don't need extra accounts. We don't need 6 credit cards. We don't need those things. But if we look at what we're developing and producing, and we say, this is something that I would want, how do you make that digital copy something you would want? What's the reason you would want it? Well, maybe as a preview. Maybe that's something that you would do for it. And then it's like, well, if I have the preview, now why do I want the physical book? And so you have to always create reason and incentive for someone to want that next product that you're doing. And I mean, EBS he's kind of the poster child for that. Every time he comes out,
Yes.
every time he comes out with a version, it's not the same version.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's a master at doing that. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't offer digital in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a fan. He's not a fan. But again, it's old guard, and it's like, I do think there might be a mental block, depending on your experience, how old you are. I do think there might be a mental block in not understanding that for the younger generations coming up, they might not have that emotional attachment to the physical, and digital might be completely adequate to them for getting into a medium. It might be, and I'm willing to accept that I have a mental block to that concept. And I think it's important that we understand we might have a mental block there.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, and the thing is just how do you, every single way that you can offer, are you roboting or am I roboting?
You sound like you're in a tunnel in the middle of like maybe a race that's happening in the distance.
It's like an old radio phone-in show.
We've just been rolling with it, man. We're like, it's cool.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Hold on a sec. Let's just let me fix this up.
And we do have to get into Outlaw Nights. We've got Ben here.
Yes.
The creator of Outlaw Nights. You sound much better now, man.
Yeah. Do I?
How did you do that? How did you magically do that? Dude.
Magic.
We thought you were like in some environment where you're just out of your control, and now we find out it was in your control the whole time.
The whole thing.
It was all
you guys haven't been. You guys need to let me know if something like that's going on. I can't.
Well,
change anything
just
if you
assumed that it was out of your control. I guess that was our bad.
No, so I'll just say this before we move on, because Outlaw Nights is a great book, and I think it deserves all the time that it can get.
Yes.
But as far as that mental block goes, every single way that you can get your book out there is a tool for you to use. You just got to figure out how to make it the most profitable, both in how much money you can make off of it and in just marketing. What can you give the fans that they actually want? So that's all me. Anyway,
Yes.
That's the only reason I came on here for. I just didn't want to type all of that in chat.
Understood, man. And please, everybody, check out Smiling Bandito's show later today. It's going to be a good one. So
Yeah,
if
I
you're
think
not,
so.
And how do they find you on YouTube?
Let me drop a link.
Yeah, drop that link, man. Drop that link. Okay, Ben.
Yo.
Outlaw Nights. Should we start with this trailer? What do you think?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it going.
Let's do it. Yes.
You people are not on form today whatsoever. How come, Ben, you did not say, let's get it on?
Oh, yes. Missed opportunities, man. Missed opportunities. So, yeah. That's a really fun trailer. I mean, and of course, there'll be people that say, you know, we got to have a voiceover, man. Where's the voiceover? You know who's been doing really great trailer remixes? What is it? Ascension Cinema?
Media.
Yeah, dude, they've been remixing, I think they just recently did a Black Flag trailer remix. It's totally badass. You guys got to check it out if you haven't seen it. But yeah, it could use a voiceover. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I liked it, dude. I liked the energy of it, for sure.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: would you prefer being in control of the share screen, so you can scroll and talk about what you'd like, or do you want me to just handle that? It's up to you.
It's probably best for you to do it because I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So give us the if you were just in an elevator with somebody and you had a very short amount of time to just tell them what this book is. What is that? Do you have that?
Well, Outlaw Nights, Genesis of a Renegade is going to be the first of hopefully 6 issues, though it may end up being more like 7 or 8, depending. But essentially, this kicks us off into the Outlaw Nights universe, introducing us into the 31st century. Humanity has begun colonizing into outer space. It's not as advanced as you'd think of like Star Wars or Star Trek, but it's very much a new frontier time period. Sort of like when the trailer was saying Manifest Destiny 2.0. The nations of Earth are at each other's throats, competing over territory and resources, and we're fresh out of a world war, so tensions are high all across the spectrum. Our main character, Cyrus Lawson, is working as a security militia for a small, out-of-the-way settlement called Therese. And he's basically gone there to get away from it all. He wants nothing to do with any of the craziness and the drama. He's just there to kind of be like a small-town sheriff type. But that dream is ripped right from under him because the pirates of Hazard are invading the settlement, looking for a special piece of data, and this data is going to lead them to a treasure that is going to turn everything on its head. So essentially, push comes to shove, Cyrus is kidnapped by these pirates. So he's going to have to learn how to overcome his very naive sense of right and wrong, learn how to survive in the 31st century underworld, and overcome his deep-seated prejudice towards pirates. Yep.
Nice, dude. Yeah, so there you go. You definitely have the pitch down. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that if you were on an elevator, you would have had time to get that in there. It was close. It was close. You know, there are some that they have it down to one line. There are some that but I think this was concise enough. Yeah, like I get what the essence of this thing now. So give us a little bit of background. I know this isn't the first time that you've launched this campaign, and how much did you learn trying to do it the first time?
Oh God, well, I think the biggest thing working against me last time was that I really wasn't going on YouTube that much. I was promoting mostly on my Twitter page, and I was driving a lot of people insane.
Yeah, you can't overdo it there. Yeah, you can't overdo it.
And nobody likes that. I just, it was one of those things where people had been advising me to start getting my face out there on YouTube, and it was one of those things where I kind of thought well, I think I can do it my way, and of course we didn't make nearly as much. on that one as we have this time around. So, after we failed that, I just, I took the lessons to heart, and I started just talking more to people, trying to get on more streams, and it has paid off immensely.
Good. No, that's really good to hear. I mean, obviously, it's huge. The YouTube ComicsGate, there's like a symbiotic relationship there, and you just have to, it's just one of those things. You've got to get on board with it. You've got to figure it out. Yeah, so I'm glad that that's, that you decided to take that leap, and you're actually seeing the difference in that. That's really good to hear. It's encouraging for other creators,
No, I say I really like the art on this. Like, you've done a seriously good job.
Who is your artist on this book?
Oh, it's not you. Well, whoever you employed did a seriously good job.
Yeah. Who is the artist on this book?
The line artist is Render Contender, who you may have heard of. He's done work on John Malin's Graveyard Shift Volume 2 and on R.T. Bear's Chrono Mechanics.
Yep.
And he's definitely he's infamous right now, and I feel like he's definitely going to be going places because every page I've commissioned from him, it's like he gets better with each page.
Yeah. Isn't that fun to watch as a writer of something? It's so fun to watch the artist evolve during on a project. It's like, holy shit. And then of course the artist tortures themselves because they're like, can it would it be okay if I redraw the first 10 pages? Or you're like, no. No. You can't do that. Yeah, this looks great. Ryan Miller's asking who's doing the coloring. The colors look fantastic, man.
Yeah, our colorist is he's a guy who operates out of India, and he goes by the moniker Pressed Colors. His real name, I believe, is Prasad Patnaik. But he was recommended to me through Sierra Whiskey. Because originally, I had another guy lined up, and he was really good. It's just the colors were a little flat.
Yeah.
And so Sierra suggested Press Colors to me. And I just kind of decided to commission a page just to see what he would do with it. And immediately when I got the page back, I'm like, yeah, no, this is my favorite.
This is it. This is what I need. Yeah. Yeah, nice, dude. It's really good. Yeah, it just looks like such a polished, solid project, man.
What I love about
hell. And who's doing do you have a letter as well, or are you taking care of those duties? Yeah.
Good old Eric Weathers.
All right. That's the way to go, man. It makes I see a lot of CG projects, I'm not going to lie, that kind of, they don't handle the letters correctly, and it's so distracting. It takes away from all the hard work put in, and everything is so professional on this project, man. The flow is perfect. You just look at this page. Eric Weathers knows how to flow out the dialogue and make it work with the art. It's absolutely beautiful.
Is there anything in CG Eric doesn't letter? No?
Yeah, that guy, I think there's like maybe two like major letters in CG right now. Like they're just busting out.
Do the Adventures of Kim Il Sung and Best Korea.
No. Look at Zaid's the secret to Rotten Glory Channel is everyone is a mod. No, just the people I know, and they've been around. I know that they're not gonna abuse. They're gonna do it right, and I know they have valid shit that they need to post links for. It's all about mutual respect and supporting the network, man. For sure.
Okay, spam time.
Spam it all.
You know what I love about this Outlaw Nights is the serious, like, Snake Plissken, aliens. The vibe that I get from it is just like it's all of the great movies from the late 80s, early 90s, and it just feels like a glove. It just fits on super comfy,
yeah,
and I'm ready to go. You know, I'm ready to drive this thing. So
Thank you so much.
well
Oh my
said,
God.
dude. Well said. So tell us about this featured tier here.
Yeah, I actually just did that today.
Oh, nice.
I was bullied into it by Sim and Optimus, so I did it. And essentially, the featured tier is going to be a physical copy of the book plus a pinup of the cover that we're going to be doing. So it's going to be a good 11 by 17 pinup. That's
Okay, how is that being handled in shipping?
What do you mean?
Is that so? That's gonna have to be folded.
No, I don't.
Folded?
I don't think it'll really have to be folded because it's small enough.
Okay.
Either way, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that sorted.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I think it's a matter of personal taste. For me, as a person who loves art, I'd rather if something has to be folded, I'd rather it be the size of the comic, smaller.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be folded, but if it's going to be an oversized kind of thing, that can add difficulty to shipping. And I understand sometimes you just got to fold some shit, like that might happen. But I don't know. It's a little kind of a pet peeve of mine, I guess.
Oh well, I wouldn't fold them. That's mainly me because I don't want any damage to come to any of these.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad you feel that way because it's I have gotten some folded. I'm not gonna name the campaigns, but I've gotten some folded posters like creases right down the main protagonist's face, and I'm like, how can I hang this? It doesn't work. This is like kind of useless.
They stay folded for me.
Yeah.
I don't open them up. It's like, no, I don't need it.
Sorry to interrupt, but I got to get going. Thank you very much, Rot 10 Glory.
No, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for dropping in.
Yeah, man.
Captain Buckhead, great to hang out with you. Lucius, we've been sending some DMs back and forth. Really appreciate that guy. Dave, we haven't hung out lots, but I see you on here all the time. Really appreciate everything that you say about this stuff. And definitely back Outlaw Nights. I think it's a comic that has been a slow burn. And people are just starting to get their eyes on it. So get on more streams. And we had you on. We looked at the book on Bancroft's stream, right? You were there.
Yep.
You were on the show with us.
Nice.
And that was back when I think it was like, I don't know, 15% funded or 20% funded or something like that. So it's good to see it growing and continuing to move. So everyone get on that. It looks like a great book.
Just to add to that,
thank you so much.
I can't believe you put slow burn and peephole in the same sentence. Ben is only in glorious British pounds, £97 away from getting fully funded.
There you go.
Nice,
so
dude. Love it.
Awesome. All right, everybody, have a great night. Great day.
All right, see you, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
appreciate it. See you, man. Okay, so. The featured tier, we got the book and the pinup, which you were going to ship in an exquisite fashion. Let's and I like your tiers are really clean. You don't have a lot of nonsense going on.
That's mostly because I know that with this being my first time producing a comic, and from my experience in film, that anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Right.
So it's like, keep it as simple and straightforward as possible.
Right. Right. So obviously you have a tier here, the $25. Just get a copy of the book. Now, are these going to be signed?
I hadn't really considered it because I didn't really think anybody would want my signature for anything, but I mean,
this is like, I know it's weird. I know it's a weird thing, but a signature, it's just kind of even if you don't feel like, well, people don't know, they're not going to want my signature. It's like, it does add value to a project when it's got that personal touch of a signature or something, man.
I'll sign it for everyone if you want, Ben.
Yeah, Dude, we'll all sign it. Just get it to us all. We'll sign it. There goes Captain Fuckhead. Bye, Captain.
I think I may add that as a stretch goal.
Getting it signed by Captain Fuckhead? Or by you?
How about both?
Dude, a random signature by Captain Fuckhead, that could be the way to go, dude. That could be the way to go.
I'll give him a proper one too that actually says Fuckhead, not my artist signature.
Yes. And then of course it looks like you can get 2 of the books. You can get 3 of the books, which you're getting a little discount on, and then quadruple the books. Damn. And then this is really cool. The original art page, which is really reasonably priced.
Yep. And
for Render Contender as well, by the way.
Yep. Render he's primarily a digital artist, but he does have experience doing art by hand, and he volunteered to do those pages. I didn't put him up to it. I didn't ask him. He volunteered to do 10 pages by hand.
Damn, that's beautiful, dude. Beautiful. Yeah. So I'm assuming he kind of chose, like, if he felt like a page was going to be especially dynamic or cool, or is that how he went about it?
Or
is he like, no, these 2 people are just having a conversation. This looks like the one.
I think for the most part, it's really, we're kind of working around based on the pages we have done, because the pages we all have done are all digital. So I figured we'll just choose 10 of the other pages that we're working on now to be hand drawn, and I was really going to leave that up to his discretion for the most part.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, I guess I just kind of assume as the artist would be like, okay, I want this to be the most spectacular pages. I'm going to choose like, ooh, this is the one. This is the one people are going to want to buy. And now, do people? Is it a random? People won't really know which original page they're going to get until they get it. Is that how it's being done?
I was going to do it on sort of a first come first serve basis. Where like the first backer is going to have their pick of the litter, and it's just going to keep going down in descending order that way.
Yeah, man, that's the way.
I really like that, dude. That's the way to go about it. I don't really like when you're dropping a big chunk of change for an original piece of art, you kind of want to know what you're buying, you know? So I think that's a really smart way to handle that. And I'm assuming that you want in is referring to this page here where you get. Is this where somebody can get drawn into the comic?
Yes, sir. We've got 10 slots. Well, no, we've got, I believe, 7 slots left.
Yeah, it looks like 8 maybe. Yeah. So
yeah.
You got 2 out of 10 claims. So people want in. There are some people in CG that are very committed to being drawn in, man.
Oh yeah, I mean.
For sure.
And as you can tell from the artwork, Render is going to make you look sexy. You know.
Oh yeah.
It's going to happen.
Oh yeah. Whether it's a lie or the truth, you're going to look good. Nice, dude. So look, you've got, and this is the final run on the campaign, right? Like this is your second 30 days.
Yes, sir.
5 days left. How is it like? Are you like up at night? Like, is it gonna happen? Am I gonna go across that finish line?
You know, I was like that a few days ago, because like for a while there we had hit like a serious long dry spell, and I was pretty much like ready to accept like, okay, I'm probably gonna have to relaunch, you know, like, and I was basically kind of talking myself down, you know what I mean? I was like,
right.
You know, we're gonna be able to relaunch, it'll be fine, you know. And then I believe it was like 2 days ago we just had a sudden burst.
Nice.
And we are so close now that I am so confident that we can do this. Like,
I am too, dude. I know this thing is getting funded. It's
Cap's been
absolutely
telling them
going
this
to
for the
happen.
past couple of weeks. I've kept telling them. I said, sit on it, be patient, just keep doing what you're doing, because as soon as you get to anywhere near 85%, you will find there'll be a big jump. I was convinced there was a lot of people sitting on this and waiting for this campaign to make sure that it was getting funded before they threw their money at it, just simply because of the stuff that had happened before. Like the book, mate, the book was always going to get funded. Like it may be, we would call it here, coined by one of my favourite Scotsmen, Sir Alec Ferguson. We would call this squeaky bum time. But you are going to get funded, mate. You're 98% there. You're only 97 quid away. Like, that's nothing. There's 2 or 3 books, 4 books, four more backers at a basic tier, and you're in.
Hell yeah.
Dude. Yeah,
Let
dude.
alone if somebody decides they want a bit of render contender art. That's what I'd be pushing right now if I were you. If you're on the Twitter, just go and tell everybody about getting the page.
Dude,
out
it's
of the
such
book.
220 bucks for original art and the book. I mean, this is a great deal, man.
Buy a
Absolutely.
Buy a guy that is a genuine prodigy. Has the ability to go and be a superstar in comics. Get onto it. Get pushing that. Get people get this now, because you're never going to get another bit of render contender art this cheap.
Is the cover one of the pieces in the mix?
Unfortunately, no.
No. Okay.
No, Ben's keeping that for himself.
But the featured tier does offer you that cover as a nice pinup. So
Right. Nice. Yeah. Very good. Fuckhead, somebody really wants a shout out from you.
Oh, who's this now? Where are we?
Oh, you can't see. You're not looking at this shit.
No, I've been flatting. See,
now, what good are you? What good are you as a co-host? God damn it!
I know that Mr. Fairclough wants to poke me with a stick. Okay. Caw-caw! There we go. It's my mate Love Pigeon. Preach, cat. Yep, you're right, mate. It's one of those. You just got to get there. That's all it is. Just got to be a bit patient sometimes.
When I was thinking about the show and having you on, Ben, and I'm like, man, we should. I was thinking about what could I offer it? Like, if this thing gets funded during the show, I should offer like the person that actually pushes it over the line. I'm like, offer something to that person, and then I'm like, no, that's actually a really bad idea. We shouldn't do that with campaigns, because then people are gonna, even the ones that want to back it, are gonna be like, well, I'm gonna wait so I can be the one.
Offer them something.
Like, so everybody's just waiting, and then it's like nobody's buying it. And I'm like, oh shit, that's a horrible idea. God damn it.
Offer them something they don't want, like a DVD copy of Green Lantern.
Oh yeah, right. Or the new Ghostbusters movie or something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So be like, I don't want to be that person.
Ghost
okay,
Karens,
I better buy it now.
That's what
better
it's
buy
called,
it
isn't
now.
it? Ghost Karens or Karen Busters, something like that. I can't remember.
Come on, y'all.
Karen Busters.
Queef jokes. Come on.
Queef. Oh, now you're opening the vocabulary up now.
Yeah, this is you've really, you've got a lot of passion here. You've put together a really outstanding team. It looks so good, and I'm happy that you're like, you've joined the network. You're getting your face out there. You're on. There's going to be, just reach out, man. I don't know how many channels have you reached out to?
Oh, quite a few.
Okay, good.
This weekend is probably the busiest stream time that I've had in a while.
Okay. I think I reached out to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I'm not hurt by that at all. It doesn't hurt my feelings that you did.
Look, I can guarantee you this. Like, this is a passion project from Ben. He's been at this for fucking years, and it's finally coming to fruition for him. He's, like you said already, he's already commissioned artists. That's already taken care of. All of that is taken care of. It's 97 glorious British pounds to get this book fully funded. Means everybody is guaranteed getting their fucking first copy of Outlaw Nights. I still don't like that phrase but never mind. Look, I'll say this as well. Rotten's going to give me a little clap and a pat on the head in a second. If you still don't know, feel like you know Ben well enough, or you still don't understand how much of a passion project this has been for Ben, go over to my channel and search out for the ComicsGate interviews live, and you will see one with Ben where we talk for a good 90 minutes about him, about comics, and how he goes about doing it.
The fucker of segues. He's back. He's always on his game. You son of a bitch. Oh, yeah. So now I loaded up this Indiegogo page, a little bit before the show started. I'm going to take a huge risk here because it's my ball. If there's been no movement on this, my balls are going to just kind of retract up into my body. I'm going to feel completely horrible about it. But we're going to see if you got any extra backers today. Come on, nothing. See that? My balls just shrunk. They just shrunk.
Hey, Rot, you got to remember, there's people that back after the show.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
The replay.
But goddamn, I would have liked to have that one step closer to the finish line. I'm sorry, Ben. I've let you down.
Oh, please. Every stream counts, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
No, we're having
Not
fun.
wrong there
We're
at
having
all.
fun. I don't, a lot of times I'm just like, nah, don't hit that refresh button. You're just gonna hurt yourself. But this time, I don't know. I felt like it's gonna happen for you this time.
Rot, you ought to try doing it around, so about 11:30, midnight, our time here, just when the stock exchanges close in Japan, and you hit that refresh button, and it goes down because the dollar has lost again.
Right.
Man, that's so disheartening.
Dude, yeah, that happens a lot on your
£2. The first time I did it, I lost what was the frog book? I've forgotten what it's called now. Oddity. Oddity lost £2. Gutted, absolutely gutted. But yeah, I've since now know it's definitely the exchange rate happening because it happened to Zaid Comics as well. But they DM'd me. Philpot DM'd me immediately after the show and went, "No, mate, don't worry. It was just the exchange rate. I checked it. There was no refunds. And the backer numbers are the same. Everything's cool."
So yeah, man. I mean, I'm hoping that some of the people you've reached out to, you'll get on a big channel. If you haven't reached out to Dan Frega, have you been on Frega's channel? I think maybe you have.
I haven't been personally, but they have looked at Outlaw Nights on the channel.
Reach out to him, man. I think he might be the guy. This guy he's committed to ComicsGate. He's generous, overwhelmingly generous with his time, and reach out to him. See if you can get on his show. Tell him, look, look at this project. You can see the quality. He's gonna want to support this thing. So, yeah, I would recommend that. Yeah. So yeah, dude, people, back Outlaw Nights.
Mate.
Let's get it over the finish line. Let's get this thing funded.
Refresh, mate. Refresh. Someone's just backed it in the chat.
Let's get it in demand.
What?
Let's get it in demand. That's what we want. There we go. Up again.
Woo!
Oh!
60 glorious British pounds to go.
Oh, wow.
Oh! Love pigeon.
Damn.
Love pigeon.
Caw-caw!
Oh!
You're right
You just...
there.
You know what? Now after the show, I'm not going to curl up in the fetal position and cry for an hour. I feel much better now. Thank you.
Rotten, unless you thank him properly, he's not going to be very happy. Come on.
Love pigeon.
Caw-caw!
There you go.
Yes!
There you go.
I got it. It took me a second. I'm not always the quickest on the draw there, but I get it done usually. I mean, over time, I get it done. This was a lot of fun, Ben. I thank you for coming on the show. You've got a great book here. I think people are absolutely going to get this thing across the finish line for you.
Oh, thank you, man. And hey, I loved coming on. Thank you so much for inviting me. And hell, if you want me to come on just to hang out, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, dude.
Too.
We do the Midday Repartee Monday through Friday, man. We're always discussing really cool topics, getting into it. You're welcome anytime, dude.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And you can always, like right now, at this point in the show, this is the moment where I go, hey, Lucius, Is there something you want to shout out? Is there something you want to just pimp out there into the
Absolutely.
world?
I'll push for Atomic Deuce tonight. I'll be on there. We'll have Narwhal. It's hopefully. I mean, pray to you, the fucking live stream gods.
Whoa.
Did Rotten's internet just die?
Oh boy.
Hello, Ben. You're still
Did that freeze up for everybody?
Yeah,
Sorry. I think that was me. I think my internet just said
that is exactly it was you, and the timing was fucking gold.
Was it gold?
Lucius went. We
I know.
live streaming gods. Off we go,
dude. I was like, whoa, what happened? I thought Lucius just cut out for a second. Then I saw these spirals were happening, and I'm like, oh.
That happened for me too. I thought my connection gave out, but yeah.
Okay, Lucius, you were talking Atomic Deuce, man, and I love that. The Schmangarang is happening tonight. We got Narwhal, special guest. We've got a bunch of great stuff lined up. We're gonna get crazy tonight, man. People need to show up for this shit. It's gonna be weird.
It's gonna get bombed. It's gonna get bombed. If Rod says that, it's gonna get bombed.
Well, and okay, what I'm gonna do is set up. Like I did it the one time. The one time I set up, I like preemptively set up another stream. Just in case the one, what didn't happen? It didn't get nuked that time. So I'm doing that again. I'm going to set it up and, fingers crossed. We're not going to get nuked.
That might be the way forward for everybody. But yeah, that would be my promo. And also Smiling Bandito was having his show at 5. And he does fairly heady stuff, man.
Well, and of course we have a conflict of interest there because I think that's about the time Fans Hour is happening, yeah?
Well, shit.
I know. It's got a conflict, so I'm gonna be bouncing back and forth between both of them. I'm gonna be tickling my balls with one, and
you're gonna be the spit roast,
stroking it with the other. I don't know. You got to find a way to double team that shit. So, Ben, is there anything you would like to shout out other than, of course, Outlaw Nights?
Well, you can find me on YouTube also under the name Fusebox. I think it's spelled the same way as it's spelled on my.
This man could not spell his own fucking name. I've been telling you.
Sometimes I add an extra X for flair, and then and my Twitter. At Fuselae Ben.
That could be easier, man. I got to tell you, that could be easier.
No, I've been planning on changing that.
Yeah, I would do that immediately. Fusebox is so fucking dope, man.
Yeah, that's an easy
Fusebox should be everything. We shouldn't even know your name is Ben. You should be Fusebox.
And if you
I
struggle,
kind of wanted to get ahead of anybody trying to dox me by just doxing myself.
Well, yeah, I get that, but it's gonna happen. But still, Fusebox, dope. I like it. Succinct. I don't think I've ever heard anyone going by it. And then think of the logo potential, like cool shit. Fusebox, man. Yeah, you got to brand it, dude. Brand yourself as Fusebox. Do it. Do it. Captain Fuckhead.
Yo.
I know you got a tremendous Fans Hour coming up today, and we're gonna pretend that it's not competing.
It's Monday. It's on Monday. It's on Mondays.
Oh God, it's Friday.
It's only Friday today. But yes, it's going to be an interesting one. First of all, if you want to go and check Ben out in a bigger, longer interview, go and check on the ComicsGate Live playlist. The name of that show is Who Tripped the Fusebox. On Monday, yes, we have Fans Hour, and it's almost guaranteed at that time of night to be a little bit naughty because this week I have Mr. Peter Gilmore coming on to co-host with me. And we are doing like a little graded 0.5 special, I suppose, because we have Optimus, Deadpool, and Fizz Giggity coming on to Fans Hour this week. And of course, what we do is we throw the link into the chat towards the end of the show as well, so that fans can come on and shill for books that they want to shill for. On Thursday, on the ComicsGate Interviews Live, my favourite show that I do, but the one that gets less views, but I still love it. I am interviewing a genuine comics pro from the UK by the name of Mr. Ross Leach, otherwise known as the Comic Book Black Belt. And following show up on the next Thursday, which is July the 9th, I have Mr. Art T. Bear coming on that show.
Ooh. Nice, man. Damn, you're so professional. I don't know. I'm sorry, dude. I don't know why in my brain it was Fans Hour Day. It's so weird. I'm so messed up, I guess.
No, look, it's all right.
No, I think it's the heat. It's like 107. I'm sweating in here.
Look,
I don't know. I'm not gonna blame the whiskey because that never affects me at all.
You live in Cali. You sweating is kind of a normal thing. I live in Scotland. It was 27 degrees Celsius in my house in the middle of the night last night. My sweat was sweating.
I love how you say 27 degrees Celsius as if Americans will have any fucking clue what that means.
Okay, let me put it at 27 degrees normal.
Imperial. I'm like, sounds good to me. I mean, what is that?
Metric.
I know, we're lunatics.
For a country who has a metric financial system, how the fuck do you do everything else imperial?
Dude,
and you don't like the Imperials. You wanted to be independent, and yet you still use the old rules. You weirdos.
I don't make these decisions, man. It's just, this is what they taught me. This is what I know. It's not my goddamn fault.
You're still counting inches, and you know how they started. They're just people counting the fucking knuckles.
They're like, it's a knuckle long, fucker.
Well, that's where you got eighths of an inch from. That's where it comes from. It's knuckles.
Yes.
Apparently. Knuckle dragons. That's what I call it.
Okay. So we've done Ben. We've done Captain Fuckhead. We've got Lucian. Dave, what have you got for us?
Well, as always, follow me, Bristolian Dave on Twitter. I'm going to shout out Doomsday Kingdom today from Love Pigeon, seeing as he helped out on Outlaw Nights here.
Yes.
It's a zombie book, and it looks so fucking good. Like, the story, like, just go watch it. I'm not going to do it justice by talking about it. Go to the page, put it in the chat. It's just...
I'll help you out there, Dave. It's Walking Dead book good. And what you're doing when you get that campaign, these guys have been doing this book for the last 2 years. They have already fulfilled over 3,000 copies over the last 2 years, doing it on their own platform. And the guy that writes it, Mr. Ronnie Hayes, got a huge YouTube channel, over 100,000 people. They've got their own website out there. They're bringing this to Indiegogo for the first time. And what you're getting from Doomsday Kingdom is you're getting the first 4 issues that they've already put out as a trade. Ben, you look shocked. As a trade paperback that includes the brand new 5th issue. So that's what you're getting when you back that book. So you're getting a nice big
that's
book
kick-ass,
of zombies, and it's a completely different type of zombie story, certainly in my understanding of it, because rather than it just be zombies, everybody dies, which is the usual fucking story, one person survives on an island using a boat. These guys, they're scaling the way that these zombies work. So you have different types of zombies at different times and all sorts of different things going on. It's a very, very well thought out book. Again, I've had these guys on my CG.
That's me.
ComicsGate Live's interview show, and it's Ronnie who wrote this. When he wrote the book, he's basically got this massive scroll of 60 different floppies all mapped out already. Like they are well ahead of what Ronnie wants to do.
Nice.
It's fascinating, particularly Ronnie. It was fascinating talking to him about how he goes about writing these things and puts it together. Well worth going and having a look out. And the book looks sensational.
Doomsday Kingdom. And I think, Dave, you dropped the link for people in the chat.
That's why I let Cap shill shit and not me.
I am a shit
All right, everybody.
How many
and I just want to
shit shiller chew. No? There's got to be a joke in there, shouldn't there?
And I just want to say again, join us, please, for the Atomic Deuce tonight. We are going to have a blast. Everyone is going to have a good time with Narwhal, and the guests are just awesome. We have so many cool things lined up. So please join us for that. Yeah, I heard that, man. Wow. Nice. Thanks to the panel for being here. Thank you, Ben, for sharing your project with us. Hail to the chat for contributing so much good stuff. And Love Pigeon, the hero of the stream. Kaka! Thank you for backing a really stellar project. Let's get this thing over the finish line. And we'll see you tonight, hopefully, on the Atomic